connecting cloud server. Oh, it's all very technical. We don't normally record. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our South African cooking workshop. Thank you very much for joining us. I was just saying to Pauline, it's unusual to see her in the daylight. We normally see her at our workshops at 7:30 at night. So there you go. Now, what I would love you all to do before we get started is just type into the chat for us, whether you're a consultant, whether you're an owner, and if you are an owner, what sort of Thermomix you've got, or if you are a non-owner. And I'd also love to know what has inspired you to want to attend a South African workshop. You know, are you South African, or are you like me and you happen to be married to a South African, or do you just fancy South African food or learning about different nationalities? We'd love to know so we can try and tailor this to what you want to see. So I think we'll just get stuck into it. Now, I want to say a huge thank you to two of the consultants in our team, Team Karingai and Beyond, and that is the lovely Mags Govender and the other lovely Kamaine DeVos, who just happen to be South African. So you're in very good hands today. But I'm going to hand you over to Mags, and she's going to get us started.
All right, so with my curry, I'm going to use the one from last night because it's been in the fridge and it's...
Hi guys! Welcome to our South African cooking adventure. So I have seen your messages. Some of you are South African, so you've probably already tried milk tart and cook sister the old traditional way. Here's the new way with the Thermomix. So I've already found the recipe. I've saved it to today, and I've made the syrup. Now, the syrup needs to be made ahead and left to chill. So that's done. It just requires sugar, water, cream of tartar, fresh ginger, lemon, and cinnamon quail. And you let it cook for, I think it was 15 minutes in the jug. And then it tells you to pour it into a bowl and put it into the fridge until ready. So I'm going to leave it there because we're still going to let the dough rise and plat up and fry. So I'm going to leave it in the fridge for a bit. Now for the dough, the good thing about cookie dough is I don't know if everyone has the TM6, but when you go to a recipe, you can click at the step you've stopped at, and it takes you straight to there instead of going next until you get to that part. So we go 500 grams of plain flour. Most of you may have a recipe from a recipe that's been passed on in your family from your grandma or your mum. You can easily convert this just by following the method but using your own ingredients. It's a very versatile recipe. Almost there. Far from almost there. There you go. 500 grams. Next, 20 grams of baking powder. The cool thing is it's going to measure out the 20 grams for me. There you go. That's the whole jar, basically. Next, pinch of salt. Next, 60 grams of butter. So really easy compared to when you have to do it by hand the traditional way, because you need the butter to be the right temperature. Here you can just use whatever you have because the blades will work the pastry anyway. And that's it. Put it in. So you let that mix together before we... All right, now I have a little trick for eggs when you're adding eggs to the Thermomix, is to add it to the measuring cup first, just in case there's a shell or you have an off egg or something goes wrong. Find it easier to rather add them in one at a time so you don't have a disaster on your hands. And 250 grams of full cream milk. Boom. Next, we're on our way to as easy as that. So it says keep the measuring cup on. It's going to knead it for 2 minutes now. So look, benchtop's still clean. There's no mess. This is going to be really quick, really easy. And for those of you buying Cook Sisters at the South African shop, you know how expensive it is for a plate. Whereas for just flour, butter, eggs, you can make it at home. No mess, no fuss. If you could pop in to the chat, everybody, what's your favorite South African dessert? What's the one you most miss or try making at home? Milk tart, malva pudding and milk tart are the easiest, I think, recipes in the Thermomix. Oh yes, peppermint crisp tart, especially now for Christmas. It's a very popular one. I don't know if many of you have the South African Odyssey, but malva pudding and milk tart are in there. They're also on Cookie Dough. I do the milk tart quite often. I do the malva pudding, and for those who have egg allergies, I've done the malva pudding without eggs, and it works out perfectly. You don't need to substitute, you just need to imitate. Buttermilk rusks. Ooh, I think Kamain's made some rusks this week. Oma's rusks. Nearly there. Has anyone tried the Cape Malay Cook Sisters? I'm sure you know the difference. The Cape Malay Cook Sisters are round and made with potato, but soaked in a similar syrup. And the Cook Sisters, which is from the Afrikaans heritage, is platted and soaked in a syrup with ginger and lemon. Transfer dough onto a lightly floured silicone mat or plastic wrap, shape into a ball, and leave in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to wrap it up in the Thermomix and leave it to prove for 30 minutes. And in the meantime, Kamain's going to make us some milk tart.
Yes, she is. So let's hand over to Kamain. We just need you to unmute. There we go. Over to you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my kitchen in the daytime. It is quite different. So I'm going to show you how to make milk tart. This recipe is from the UK platform on Cookie Dough. So if you just remove your Australia filters, you'll find the one I'm using. I'm not sure if you are able to see my screen well or not. But for those of you that don't know milk tart, because there are a few non-South Africans on here, it is incredible, not just because I'm South African. It's basically like sort of a baked custard type of tart with a biscuity base. So there are cheat ways to make this, which is how I always made it before I had a Thermomix. And that is to just lay the base of your so this is the dish I'm using. You would just lay the base with biscuits, or you could crush the biscuits and mix it with butter, and then put the filling in. But because it's just so simple to do it in the Thermomix, I'm going to do it the authentic way. Milk tart is traditionally made in a round dish, but I don't own a round one, so I'm going to just do it in a square one. It tastes exactly the same. So all we're going to do is grease the dish, which I've already done, and heat the oven to 180. I know it's going to chop my head off, but you don't need to see me. You just need to see what's happening. So I've got the recipe ready. Start cooking. So preheat the oven, grease your dish, and then now we're going to make the base. So 50 grams of butter, diced, 50 grams of sugar, and then we're just going to cream that together for 10 seconds. Should be good. Yep. and then 150 grams of plain flour. There we are. 1 medium egg, a teaspoon of baking powder, and then a pinch of salt. This honestly is so simple. You literally just put everything in, it guides you through it all, and it mixes it together. Shocking that the first time I made a real milk tart was when I lived in Australia and not South Africa. Okay, so we're mixing together for 10 seconds again. Okay, then it says to just scrape down the sides so that you get it all nicely mixed in. And then we're just going to mix it up one more time. And that is the base. So now it just says to transfer it into your tart dish. It has quite a crumbly sort of, consistency, which is perfectly fine. That's how it's supposed to be. So we just tip it all out. And then I'll just tilt that down. And then I have washed my hands, not that you have to eat it. All you do is squish it into the base of your tart tin, and then you just want to make sure that it comes quite high up the sides because it can shrink when you do the baking. So we just sort of spread it out a bit like that. And then this goes into the oven. Let me see. Oh, I must just tell you a quick tip. I don't own baking beans, I think they're called. I don't own those. So I Googled what I could use as a replacement, and it said that you could just use any dried beans that you have or lentils. So that's how I always do mine, and it works perfectly fine. So that's basically ready to go in. So it says to prick it with a fork. And then we lay on the baking paper so that it's covered. Let me turn it so you can see it like that. And then I literally just sprinkle in my soup mix. And it works perfectly fine. You don't need fancy baking beans. It's just to be a weight. Just like that. And that goes into the oven for 10 minutes to blind bake. And then you remove this piece and do another 5 minutes. So I'm going to pop that in. And then Trudy is going to show you how to find some South African recipes on Cookie Do. And then I'll be back to show you how to make the filling of the milk tart.
Thank you so much, Kamaine. That looks great. Yes, so I am just here to fill in a little bit of time while, because we've only got 2 presenters. We're used to having a whole pile of presenters and we can jump from one person to the next. So I'm here as a filler. And my filler is I am just going to show you how to find South African recipes on Cookie Do. What I would love you all to do is type into the chat whether or not you have an active Cookie Do subscription. And even if you've got a TM31, it is still of benefit to you to get yourself a subscription to Cookie Do, because all that you would do is have your device sitting next to your Thermomix just like it was a cookbook, and you're just typing in the time, temperature, and speed. So please don't think if you've got a TM31 you can't use Cookie Do. So I'm just going to go back to the home page first of all, and just show you what it looks like when you log in. This is where you are. Hello, what would you like to cook today, Trudy? And we just click on search, and into the search bar, I'm going to put South Africa. So it will bring up the South African recipes that we have on the Australian platform, and it's telling us that we've got 16 results. So there you go. There's the Cook Sisters and Bobotie. See, I know how to say that because I'm married to a South African. The Durban Naan, Chakalaka. I've never heard of that one before, but Mags is laughing at me. She's obviously familiar with it. And there's the bunny chow that Mags is going to be making. But anyway, 16 recipes. That's not a whole lot of recipes, but have a look at this. The minute I cross off my Australian filter, now we have got 39 results. And so again, what you'll find is that the UK platform has a lot more South African recipes on it than anybody else. So that is just a quick tip for you to be able to find. And then what I also suggest you do is when you do find some that you like, or the Dom Pedro, they're excellent, by the way. Then what you do is you go into your collections and you create your own collection. I think I have actually created my own South African collection. I haven't done it for a long time. Let me just have a quick scroll down here. Where are we? Yes, South African favorites. There it is. I'm not telling you fibs. So there we go. We've got the traditional Bobotie, the milk tart, the Cape Malay chicken curry, and the Malva pudding. So anyway, just a few quick tips, and I will now hand you back to Kamaine, who is going to start the filling. Was that enough time for you, Kamaine? We just got to unmute you.
There we go. Sorry, got stuck on the mute. Yes, perfect. By the way, if you have not tried that traditional Bobotie, it is incredible. It's so good. I know Dominique and I have discussed this before. It really is a yummy one. Okay, so we're now going to do the filling, and I have set my oven timer, otherwise I will forget to remove the base. So if you hear the buzzing, that's what it is. Okay, so for the filling, 15 grams of flour. Oh, 1 gram short, so close. 100 grams of sugar. Now, I found the first time I made this that it was a bit too sweet, and I have quite a sweet tooth. So I reduced the amount of sugar that I put in, which is what is so great about making your own stuff from scratch in the Thermomix. So I think I've only got about 80 grams, no, 75. And then 400 grams of milk, hence the name milk tart. There we go. 2 tablespoons of corn flour, which is what will thicken it up. And then 1 egg. And that's going to mix together for 10 seconds. Okay, so now that it's all mixed up, it just says with the measuring cup still in place, we are now going to cook the filling. So this will cook for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to hand you back over to Mags, and then you'll be back later to see the rest of it.
Thank you, Kamaine. Okay, here we go. Hey, Mags, don't show them the finished result just yet. Hide that for now. She's getting a step ahead of herself. She wants to do the, here's one I prepared earlier.
I want to whet everyone's appetites because it is 1 o'clock. It's the perfect time to be hungry for some bunny chow. So as you know, I'm making a Durban, it's called, the recipe I've chosen, there's 2 bunny chow recipes on Cookie Do. When you take off the Australian filter, you get the bunny chow with Durban curry, which I prefer. The other one is a Cape Malay curry. So it has raisins and it's a chicken curry. It's a bit sweeter. It's from Cape Town. And this one's from Durban, if you are familiar with South Africa. So it is so easy. Start cooking. So this recipe asks you to make the bread. And in hindsight, I should have done that because I could not find unsliced bread in a hurry this morning. And I didn't have enough time to make my own. So we'll skip straight ahead to the Durban curry. That's 3 garlic cloves. Now I prefer to use, I have crushed garlic here anyway. So 3 garlic cloves is the same as 3 teaspoons of this. When you have a Thermomix and you use a lot of garlic, this is probably easier to do because it's already cut and it makes cooking quicker. And that was the garlic I just popped in. The ginger, which was the next bit, and 120 grams of onion quartered. So with the TM6, it is nice to do exactly what they ask you to do because it's going to sort of caramelize your onion or braise it. So it specifically wants it quartered. 30 grams of ginger, got ahead of myself and put it in already, and 30 grams of vegetable oil. So if everybody wants to share, how often would you have bunny chow or a curry, a South African curry?
Meg,
has anyone tried making it at home at all?
Can I ask why do they call it bunny chow? Because I always have to say, no bunnies were harmed in the making of this recipe. Why bunny chow?
So bunny chow, the word bunny, so the South Africans moved over to South Africa, well, the Indians moved over to South Africa as indentured laborers brought over by the British in the 1800s. And one of the types of people are called bunnias. And so bunny chow is, and they started the meat bunny because you're coming from India where there's no rotis to a country where there's mainly bread loaves, and they put beans curry in it. Just quickly, for those who despise chopping onion, garlic, and ginger, that's an easy way through it. So as Indian people working as indentured laborers, they'd add curry to bread because it was easier than making roti when they moved over because they were all young and working. And the type of people were called bunnias. That's how bunny chow came about.
I had no idea of that. And that was, I have to tell you, that was a total question without notice there for me. Lucky you knew the answer.
Well, it is one of the touristy things in South Africa. You get a bunny chow as a tourist, so I had to know the answer for all of our friends. So now for the spice component. That was aniseed and garam masala. Garam masala freshly ground in the Thermomix recipe in the basic cookbook, so you don't even need a cookie dough account for that one. And it's now asking for fennel seeds. I have to admit, this is very different to the spice mix. Not very different, kind of different to the spice mix I would use. I would add turmeric is the only difference to the way I would make the Durban curry.
Sorry, Mags, Robin's just asking the specific name of this recipe and which platform it's from. I think she's just come on, so she wants to be able to look it up.
Bunny chow with Durban curry. And when you search it, change your filters, take off Australia and click on just English language, and it should come up.
Thank you.
So half a teaspoon of chili powder. You can use any chili powder you're comfortable with. For another recipe, I had to get Kashmiri chili powder, so I'm just using the same thing. But whatever you have at home works equally as good, depending on how strong you want it, I guess, or how red you want it, or whatever your personal preference is. So it's now, if you were cooking a curry on the stove, this would be the point where it's braising with onion and spices. That's what's going on here. That's doing that for 2 minutes. The joy of the Thermomix is you don't have to stand there and stir anymore. Something else does it for you. The machine does it for you. It's really quick, really hands-free. Other substitutes you could use are chicken or beans, butter beans in a can, or balotti beans in a can, are a common bunny chow flavor. And lamb. I think my favorite's lamb. What's your favorite bunny chow? explain monkey gland sauce. There's no monkey's glands used in monkey gland sauce. I don't think I know the explanation for that. I do, I just can't remember it. It's been ages since I've even heard the word monkey gland sauce. Maybe Kamaine might have the answer by the time we get to her.
If not, she's madly Googling it right now.
It's been ages since I've come across monkey gland sauce. However, I did see a recipe for the Steers sauce on Facebook, made in the Thermomix. So if anyone's missing the Steers burger sauce. Kirsty, is that a recipe for monkey gland sauce or the Steers burger sauce? But that is great. And chakalaka. Chakalaka is a spiced vegetable side. So it's vegetables. It's sort of pickled together, and you normally have it with bors and a roll, to answer Trudy's dilemma before with the chakalaka.
And Mags, I'll just, while we're filling in, I can't do this because I've got a silly screen on my background. How do I do that? If I put it right in front of my face, there we are. There is the South African recipe, the South African Odyssey cookbook, which you can get in our mix shop. And that is, I don't know, there's like over 100 recipes in there. It's an absolutely amazing South African cookbook, but it's not on Cookie Do because it was published before we had Cookie Do. So yeah, if you really do like your South African recipes and you want to find more than what is on Cookie Do, I would highly recommend that. And Kirsty's saying she's got a copy in stock. She's at St. Ives, so you can save some postage. Jump in and grab that. Actually, that one that I held up is a brand new one as well. So if you're at Roseville, you're welcome to that one too. Okay, Mags.
The smell in my kitchen right now, after all those spices have mixed with the onion and the oil, I've now added tomato paste, and we're going to quickly cook that, and then it's time to add the meat. And it's as easy as that. That's a curry, a Durban curry, done. The meat cooks for an hour. So as you already know, I pre-made one, so we don't have an hour. So that's all it takes to get yourself a Durban curry at home. It's really hard. I don't know why, but it's really hard to get bunny chow as a takeaway in Sydney. Even though there's so many South Africans, there aren't as many cafes and restaurants.
So Mags, do you want to show us your finished product, bunny chow, now?
Yeah. So again, the bread, I've used sliced bread, and the concept is an unsliced quarter or half loaf of bread. You dig out the center, which is that bit, add your curry in, and serve it with some, I've done tomato salsa, serve it with some tomato salsa. Bunny chow.
The nice thing about it is that the sauce, the gravy that it's cooked in, just soaks into the bread. So it just, yeah, it just really adds to the flavour, doesn't it, Mags?
It's a very hands-on meal.
Yeah, yeah.
You probably wouldn't get away with using a fork and knife for that one. So for those of you who always wonder whether the Thermomix can make curry for a large family, this is 750 grams of beef stewing steak. And it really serves a lot of people. It looks like just a bowl's worth, but once it's cooked, we ate it for many days when I did the trial round. So it is a large portion, if you are wondering how the Thermomix can cook. And look, there's still plenty of space. So we could have even done a kilo if you're if you're entertaining with this dish. So now it's going to saute the meat in the spices for a bit, sort of seal it, and then you add some stock. Now I didn't use beef stock. I'm using veg stock paste that I made in the Thermomix because nothing beats the taste of veg stock paste. So I'm just going to add some of that. For everyone that has a Thermomix, how much do you use your veg stock paste? How often or frequently do you use it? And that's it. It's great in curries, it's great in stews and casseroles, risotto, and well, I don't think I could do without it anyway. Once you started making your own, you'll never buy a store-bought stock ever again. And there is a meat and beef stock variation as well. Any questions about Durban curry or anything you want me to answer? At least once a week on the bench stock paste. Yeah. They say you can freeze it, but we've never got that far because we use it so often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say, Mags, I never bother with the chicken or the beef stock. Like, even if the recipe says put in, you know, chicken stock, I just always put in the vegetable stock paste because it just adds such great flavour anyway. And it's just so easy to have that one in the fridge that you can just, you know, scoop out a tablespoonful and away you go.
And it's so nutritious and full of flavour.
Kirsty's correcting me. She says that there's so much more in the chicken. Oh, okay. Give you all another tip as well. When it says a tablespoon of vegetable stock paste, you just weigh in 20 grams, so you don't have to dirty a tablespoon. There you go.
One tablespoon is half a litre of water's worth of stock.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsty's turned someone into a chicken stock fan.
Did she physically turn you into chicken stock, Pauline? That's a bit of a worry.
The recipe is now saying to knock back the risen dough, because in this recipe you're actually making the bread for the bunny chow. Divide it into 6 pieces and put them into a muffin tray, so you get a perfect portion size instead of using a quarter loaf of bread, which is a lot of bread. Here you're getting individual portions, which is great for when you're entertaining because it plates up really well. We just still prefer the half a loaf of bread. It's the traditional look. So I've got 2 more minutes of this, and then I add the stock and let it continue cooking. Now, next we're gonna go check out our cook sister dough. So I think Trudy is going to buy me a few minutes while I get that.
We can do that. I'm going to hand back to Kamaine, and Kamaine is just going to show you all what the filling looks like for the milk tart. And that will give Mags a chance to get organised for her cook sisters. We're really missing those extra 4 presenters today, aren't we? Okay. Oh, and Kamaine. Yeah, a little bit. That's okay. Kamaine, did you hear when we were talking about the monkey gland sauce?
No, it's so hot in here with this thing mixing.
Okay. Well, somebody was asking, in fact, it was your very helpful colleague, Kirsty, who threw you under the bus. Monkey gland sauce. Do you know why it's called monkey gland sauce? Do you know anything about it? We said if you don't, you'll be madly Googling it, but here's the question.
No idea why it's called monkey gland sauce. It's just what we've always called it, and I've never questioned it. Useless South African. I have 1 minute and 20 left of cooking the filling, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 10 grams of butter, which just mixes for 5 seconds, so just so that it all goes through. And then I'm going to pour it into my base, which I can show you quickly. It's ready. Just grab it out of the oven. So, as long as you're, so we did the first part was the 10 minutes with the lentils, and then I removed the baking paper and it stayed in for another 5 minutes. And as long as it gets to this point where it's got that sort of goldeny color to it, then that is sufficient. So my sides didn't shrink down too much, except for the not very evenly spread part, but it's ready now for the filling to go in. And then once the filling is in, if you see on the recipe it says it takes 8 hours 45 or something, and that's because they've obviously included the time where it sets in the fridge. So the only baking part in the oven was just to blind bake the base, and then of course the filling cooks in the Thermomix, and then it just sits in the fridge.
Actually, Kamaine, that's a really good thing for us to point out to everybody, is to not be put off by total time on a recipe, because when you're looking at a cookie dough recipe, it will always give you prep time and total time. So the prep time is included in that total time, but what's also included in it is if you had to marinate it, or if you had to bake it, or if you had to, as Kamain just said, refrigerate it overnight. So it's not, you know, don't think, oh, that would be the worst recipe ever. I haven't got 8 hours to make that. You don't have to be standing there with it for 8 hours.
Yes, I always remind people of that too. Don't be put off by the time.
And I always find that they tend to overestimate total times as well.
Yes.
I can normally manage to do it in less than what they suggest.
Yes, because I mean, we could eat this maybe in 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
Late afternoon tea.
Yeah.
It will be set sufficiently. So
I'm on my way, Kamain.
Okay, good. I'm just going to quickly mix this up for 5 seconds. And that is it. Honestly, it is so simple to have some traditional South African food in Australia. So now what we do is pour this in. So for those of you who don't know milk tart, there we are. There is the milk part of the tart. Just scrape all that out. Delicious. So it's quite a sweet tasting tart. I highly recommend you try it. So delicious. And then you just sprinkle that with custard. With custard.
Custard upon custard.
Sprinkle with custard. Sprinkle with cinnamon. This is cinnamon that I grind myself in the Thermomix. So I just buy the cinnamon quills and I grind it, and it makes it so much more fresh when it's freshly ground, of course. So you just, depending on, I know some people are not wild about cinnamon, so I guess depending on your taste, I like it quite generously sprinkled on. This is still a bit hot. So just as long as you kind of...
Kamain, Ray has asked, can the milk be substituted with soy milk or skim milk?
I wouldn't say skim milk. And I've never tried it with not with normal milk, but I'm guessing it might. I mean, because the flour and the corn flour is the part that thickens it. So I don't see why it wouldn't work. You have to try.
Give it a go, Ray, and come back to us and let us know. And I just want to point out that who has done this? Pauline has given us an explanation of monkey gland sauce, and so has Tina. So thank you very much, ladies, for that. You can all read in the chat the meaning and the history of monkey gland sauce. Very interesting reading.
So this is now done. Looks like that. And then I'm just going to pop it into the fridge, and it says leave it overnight, which if you need it, I mean, you could make it in the morning and have it in the afternoon. It just depends when you need it, I guess. And then it just sets, as long as, because you'll see if I give it a jiggle, it's still quite liquid. So when it's set, it won't jiggle anymore, so that you're able to slice it out and remove it as a sort of a solid slice. So that is milk tart.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kamain. All right. Well, we are going to hand you back to Mags, who looks like she's all ready to get on with her cook sisters. Over to you, Mags.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so we left off where we were now going to take off the syrup from the fridge. So that's all nice and cold. Has to be specifically cold. It has lemon, ginger, and cinnamon in there. I put it in a clear bowl so you could see the thickness and how we're going to dip it in. So then you take off your dough. Dough looks perfect, amazing. And it says it's really good if you have a silicone mat, because it has measurements down here, so you don't need to think too hard. It says roll out the dough to 35 centimeters wide by 25 long. And again, there's little measurements along, so you can figure that out quite easily. And then cut them into 4 centimeter by 7 centimeter rectangles. something like this. And then the next part is leaving a bit at the top. Cut two strips to create 2 cuts to create 3 strips like this. So, got my oil ready. We're going to cut, fry, and dip into cold syrup. But I'll just show you the plaiting component. I think I need to go a bit more. Now, when you're using your silicone mat, a good tip from Kirsty was to use your lettuce knife. I normally keep this for my kids' birthdays because it's really safe and it's sharp enough to cut the birthday cake, and no one would get injured along the way. But hopefully I know how to plait. I have 2 sons. I may have forgotten how to plait someone else's hair. There you go. That looks like a plait. So it's really just a matter of perfecting your plaiting and how long you want it to be. I've got the next one better, I think, because I've got the plait right. Oh my God, I actually don't think I remember how to plait. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. That looks like a plait. Getting better?
Yeah, much better.
Memo to self, find some girls to practice plaiting hair on. So 2 strips creates 3, 2 cuts creates 3 strips, and then you just need to give it a plait of some sort. Boom, boom, boom. Take some practicing. Now the Cape Malay version has cinnamon in it and mashed potato, and that makes balls, and then you fry it in the same way. Put my oil back on. The good thing about Thermomix is you don't need to have tried this before. It guides you through every step of the way. So next, plait strips, securing the ends by pinching together tightly. Make sure that I've done that. Place onto a plate and then heat your oil, which I've already done. Use a candy thermometer to test it. Remove. So it asks you to do 4 to 6 cook sisters. I'm not confident enough to do more than 2 at a time. I'm awful at frying things. Anyway, I might do 3.
And your fingers there, you're making me nervous.
I know. Very confident at frying. So carefully drop 4 to 6 cook sisters into hot oil and fry for 3 to 5 minutes each side until golden brown. Carefully remove them using a slotted spoon, ready to go. And immediately dip into the cold syrup for 30 seconds. So at this point, I guess you just need to be ready with everything nearby. I've got a little plate to catch it when it comes out of the syrup. And then you're ready to serve. So it's really not that hard to do. And I think it's about $16 at the South African shop for 12. We're doing it for next to nothing with just the cost of sugar, water, and a few baking ingredients. Oh, it's looking so good, even though my plaiting skills are to be questioned. Let's see if I can get you.
Getting bigger, Mags, are they? Oh, yeah. Or is that my imagination?
Yeah, they did rise a bit. It's only got 2 spoons of baking powder, but 500 grams of flour, so not your regular rise of even a cake.
Yeah. Wow.
A cake uses about 4 spoons of baking powder for that.
Okay. Now, Mags, there's another question, just to duck back to curry for a moment. Dominic is saying, so is the Cape Malay one more like the gulab jamun? Forgive my pronunciation there. An Indian colleague of mine made that for me and it was fantastic. He was surprised how much I liked them. I ate most of them. She says, oh, sorry, we're talking about the Cape Malay cook sisters. Sorry, I thought we were talking about curry. Pardon me, Dominique.
The Cape Malay cook sisters are not so good. The Indian gulab jam, which is also not the South African gulab jam, is soaked in syrup, and the Cape Malay cook sisters is still not soaked in syrup. It's dunked in, taken out, and dipped into coconut. So it's round. It just has a more cinnamony flavor. Yeah, I guess gulab jam has a very rosy flavor, as well as cinnamon and cardamom. Similar, same shape. All right, we are there. Awesome and golden brown. Looking good. It looks legit. Could work on my plaiting skills.
That definitely wasn't 3 to 5 minutes each side though, Mags. That was much faster than that.
It was. But it is pretty cooked. I can see the.
Oh yeah, I'm not doubting you. I'm just surprised it's cooked so quickly.
Well, I had been heating the oil since we started the bunny chow.
Yeah.
I did give the oil a head start.
Right. Now, just while Mags is doing that, we've had a number of people ask us about the recording for this. Yes, it is being recorded. Where that recording is going to go, I'm actually not sure right now. I'm thinking it's probably going to go into the Insiders group, the Facebook group called the Insiders group. And it will probably be available as of tomorrow. So just keep in contact with your consultant, and if you're not, if you can't find it, talk to them and they'll know where it is by tomorrow. Don't ask them this afternoon because they won't have any idea, just like me.
I think it ends up on YouTube. There's a branch page for YouTube. So I think it will eventually end up there. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tammy. There we go. All right. So sorry, Max, what have you just done there? You popped them into the syrup, have you?
For 30 seconds. But I did show you one that fell apart. And look, it's perfectly cooked on the inside. It's light and fluffy. Yeah. I would think it's probably better than store-bought, really. Isn't as hard as the ones that you buy from the shop. Boom. So that was 30 seconds of syrup. And we have Cook Sisters.
So, Max, I'm thinking this is not for the diet conscious.
This is for sharing. So if you have guests over, this is definitely one to share.
Now, Mags, is your family going to be excited about eating Cook Sisters?
No, we've just had Diwali and we've done gulab jams and all the other yummy stuff on the weekend. So no, I don't think my kids, my kids don't even know, but my husband's not going to entertain any more sweet things. My neighbors would be welcome to join me this afternoon. We've had a weekend full of Indian fudge. That's how sweet all the Indian stuff is.
Wow, Indian fudge. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mags. Now, if anybody has got any more questions for Mags or Kameen, just type them into the chat and we'll cover off on those before we leave you. I do want to remind you, if you've got any friends who are looking to get themselves a TM6, our 36-month interest-free offer finishes tomorrow. So that's where you can actually get a Thermomix into your kitchen for $16.26 a week, but that ends tomorrow. So please, if you've got a friend who might want to find out more, just pass on the name of your consultant to them, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to have a chat with them and answer any questions that they may have. The other thing is, if you do buy a TM6 at the moment, you are actually getting a $150 Mix Shop gift voucher. So you can go shopping. All right. So has anyone got, who's dreaming of milk tart? Tammy is. All right, I think, have we covered everything in the chat, Tammy? I have some in the freezer. Were there any other questions in there?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, we'll call that a wrap, everybody. Thank you again, Kameen and Mags. That was wonderful. And look, if you have got a South African friend who would have liked to have been here today but didn't get to see this, then yes, that's the reason that we have recorded this, so that we can pass it on. So,
Trudy, there is a question from Pauline regarding the meat. Does it stay in the shape?
Oh, sorry. I did see that question before, Pauline, but I thought I'd interrupted Mags so many times I didn't want to do it one more time. Mags, can you answer that for us, please?
Whoops.
Oh.
There you go. It is. It does retain its shape. As you can see, it did not break down or anything after the 1 hour.
Okay.
Very happy with how it turned out.
But Mags, I'm guessing that's because you've used that stewing meat, which is probably a little bit firmer. Is that right, or doesn't make a difference?
Yeah, you need something that will last the hour of cooking. So even if you were using lamb, that would survive an hour of cooking.
Yeah. Okay, so there you are. I hope that answers your question, Pauline, does it? Yeah, okay. Does anyone want to come off mute to actually ask a question that they didn't want to have to type into the chat?
I can confirm these are divine. And I changed my mind. Maybe we will keep some at home. These are so good. So much better than store-bought, and so soft and amazing. Everybody please try it. It is really good.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, we'll call that a wrap, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on a Tuesday afternoon, and happy thermomixing. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.